So when Russia invaded Ukraine about 400 plus days ago, Putin started three fronts: the economic, the geopolitical, and the military. All three must fall into place for Putin to win. He must have military success, geopolitical success, and economic success for this war to make sense. And right now, he's losing on two out of these three fronts really badly. On the geopolitical side, he's basically became a pariah. Russia is now more isolated than ever. NATO is more expansive than ever and more kind of cohesive than ever. Everybody's basically on the same page. Now Finland and Sweden are joining NATO. The Russian border with NATO doubled, and Russia is now basically relying on the BRICS countries for its only allies, which is something they had before, plus the West, but now they basically lost the entire European trade partnerships and all, and they're basically in the hands of BRICS and mainly China. So that isolation is not good for you, for your geopolitical clout, and you can already see that China is making plays on some of Russia's allies. And if you guys want, I can elaborate on that in a different video. Now, on the economic front, things are even bleaker than they seem. Look, Russia is the second biggest and the third biggest oil and gas producer in the world, and about 20-25% of its economy is based on the sale of energy. Now, when the war started, this was a good thing because the war spiked the prices of energy, and what ended up happening is Putin made a huge windfall and the Russian economy survived the sanctions. When oil prices plummeted 30% in the year, which they have, the Russian economy suffered accordingly. In the months of February and January this year, their proceeds from oil and gas are down 50% year over year. That's not a good thing for this economy. It cannot survive without high oil prices. Now, on the flip side, their customers are now gone and they're basically selling to China and India now at a discount because nobody else would buy energy from them. So they're selling less at a discount when prices are low anyways. So that's not a good thing for the Russian economy. This is literally a recipe for a recession. You see, Putin has a sovereign wealth fund of over $180 billion, which was set up specifically to handle sanctions from the West. And it's still mostly intact. It's about 150 billion still deep. But for the past year, he burned through 30 billion of that because he's running out of money. So it's not like the Russian economy is on the brink of collapse. It isn't. But its ability to fund the war in Ukraine and not go into a deep recession is now getting slimmer and slimmer because proceeds are going down, the costs of war are going up, and in this reality, Russia is headed into an abyss economically. Now look, Putin dragged the Russian economy out of the mud when it was at $200 billion GDP in 2000. It brought it up all the way to 2.3 trillion in 2014, and it's been downhill ever since he invaded the initial invasion and the annexation of Crimea. But now the anticipation is that by 2023, the Russian GDP will be 1.6 trillion, which means a 30% decline in 8 years. You see, Putin is driving the Russian economy downwards, but at the same time, one thing is clear. 2022 was a windfall year for the Russian economy. 2023 is going to be a whole lot different. Now, the other problem is that Russia is now fully dependent on China. China is their main client of energy. They're the main supplier of technology, civilian, military, you name it. Russia and China, who never got along, and trust me, Russians don't like the Chinese, now they have to work together. But now China is owning Russia. Russia is essentially becoming an economic colony of China, which is something that Putin feared the most, but now it's his only card. He doesn't have a way out of this. So can Russia survive this? Yes. Can they continue the war in Ukraine? Yes. But at a cost of causing a massive recession, isolating Russia even further, and becoming a subordinate of China. I don't think it's a good price. Even if he wins in Ukraine, there's no way for him to win this war, essentially to get the goals that he set out to get, which is weaken NATO, expand his influence circle, which only kind of grew smaller and smaller, NATO grew bigger, and China is now basically meddling in his backyard. He's subordinated to China, and the economy is 30% down in the past 8 years. So Russia, for all intents and purposes, is losing this war despite any military achievements that it might have. So don't let them fool you.